Hello.
Hello. How are you? I'm excited to talk AI today.
Same. Welcome to everybody who's joining us live. Um, just really quickly, housekeeping stuff. If you post a comment wherever you're watching this, we will see it. We're happy to take your questions live as we go. So please feel free to share those. And today we're going to be talking. We've talked in the past about how you can we've talked in the abstract about how you can get AI to work for you. And today we're going to show an example of how you can actually connect AI with some of the other tools that you use without having to write any code so that you can actually get AI to do work for you outside of ChatGPT.
So you can get it to do the work that either you don't have time to do or that you'd rather not do.
Yeah, in an ideal case. The demo that we're going to share today is actually one that is real, is one that we're using, and I wanted to give just a little bit of background. Uh, Radical Candor, the company, we primarily sell talks and workshops to companies all around the globe, and one of the things that we have to do on a regular basis is respond to inbound inquiries. So someone says like, "Hey, I read Radical Candor and I'd love to know more about the services that you offer." And it's often the case that the a lot of that information, as you can imagine, is sort of repetitive. Uh, there's part
Anybody
that's
ever get too many emails?
there's part that's personalized, but we have Drew and Dan, two very experienced salespeople on our team, and it it's sort of tedious to do a really good job of responding to each one of those emails because most of the creative work happens after that email goes out, right? So like you're sharing some basic information to that person, you're responding to the specifics of their inquiry, um, but almost all the magic actually happens when you get on a call with that person to really understand the problem that they're trying to solve. And that's the interesting sales problem. So we for a very long time we had like a dumb auto reply that would go out that had some very basic information about our services, and that was actually quite useful. The auto reply helped a lot because for many people, we thought about how to draft that email, and for many people, it answered their immediate questions as long as they were willing to do some work and like dig into the documents that we shared with them.
But
But
we also probably lost a fair number of sales thanks to the
yes,
autoresponder.
yeah, because it was very clear. I mean, we didn't try to hide it. We were clear
Yeah.
that it was a canned response. And last year, as the AI models, like they made their sort of like a fairly big improvement in their ability to creatively respond to to requests, I decided to try and make a smart responder using AI to respond to those inbound emails. So that was the context. And as a team, we were having this debate of like, do we hire someone to do this? Because this is a role. There's a sales development representative role that exists in a lot of very large organizations where the job of a sales development representative is basically to be an information router, right? They take some information from the customer and they like format it in a particular way and they send it on to a salesperson who then has to like really deeply evaluate it and take the next steps. But we didn't have the budget to do that. As a small company, we were faced with the reality of like either Dan and Drew were going to have to spend a significant amount of their time every day drafting responses to these emails, or we were going to have to continue using the sort of the canned email responder, or we could try this create somewhat more
Or
creative
we
approach.
could have raised money, which we did not want to do.
That's true. That's fair.
Uh,
Yeah, we could have raised money, or we could have taken on debt to be able to hire somebody.
yes.
Yeah. Neither of which were attractive to us. So I decided to try to figure out if there was a way. And I do have a coding background, but I do not have any desire to maintain code. So I was looking on the hunt for a way to do this that didn't require a ton of code, and uh, enter Zapier, or Zapier. I'm not exactly sure how it's supposed to be pronounced.
I like Zapier better.
So do I, because it makes it sound faster.
Yeah.
Um, so Zapier is basically what it is. It is a service that allows you to connect other applications and services together without using code. That's the simplest way that I can describe it. So think about it this way: you have, um, if a task might be, whenever I get an email from my mom, I want to put a calendar reminder to respond to that email within 3 days.
It's Mother's Day on Sunday.
So this may be of
PSA,
particular relevance.
you just prompted me. Anyway, sorry. That was like squirrel. Anyway, keep going.
It is Mother's Day. And it's actually, it's not trivial to, like, you can kind of do that inside Gmail, but it's not super easy to do. Zapier makes that kind of thing very easy, right? It can like look at the incoming emails, determine that it came from your mom, and it can create a calendar event 2 days later that says, make sure to respond to your mom tomorrow by tomorrow. And as you can imagine, this sort of if this then that type of like, when this happens, do this other thing. But something that can do that and connect to almost any service that you can think of. So like Gmail and Calendar are just two simple examples, but they can connect to almost any service on the internet. And so I decided to try inside of Zapier to build a thing that looked at our email inbox, and when it saw a new inbound request, it gathered up the information from that from that inquiry, and then it sent it to AI to draft a response, a totally customized, tailored to that inquiry response. And so I'm going to share my screen to kind of show the interface for Zapier, just to give people an idea of what this can look like. So don't worry too much about the words.
Can you spell Zapier for people who can't?
Zapier.
Okay.
So don't worry too much about the words that are on here. I'm just going to walk you through what the steps are. The first step gets the email. Steps 3 through 6 basically read the information from the email and turn it into and plug it into our CRM. So this create lead step is recording the information from the email in our CRM. Then steps 7, 8, and 9 grab pull together the AI prompts. So I've basically pre-written and stored the AI prompts in a table so that I can reuse them a bunch of times. And steps 10, 11, and 12 are where the magic happens. So in step 10, I am generating a response. So into this step, I've sent it a bunch of information, which is like, here's the prompt. So it's "You are Radical Candor's Director of Client Partnerships, Drew Meir." I'm prompting the AI. Your goal is to use the context.
This is fake Drew Meir.
Yes, Drew's a real person. This is fake Drew Meir.
Okay.
Your goal is to use the context that I'm about to give you to craft a response to the inquiry that I'm sharing below.
Okay.
That we've received from a client. Only write the body of the email, and I give it some other instructions. So like, your language should be conversational, but professional. And then I give it an example of what conversational but professional language looks like. And then I say, I ask it to include a link to our services overview document. So it's a fairly straightforward prompt. And then the rest of this stuff that's in here, this is information from the inquiry. And then there's a bunch of information that's just text, basically, that describes our products and services. So the first one is literally just a text file that has all the information about our services. The second one describes in detail our in-person events. The third one describes in detail our virtual events. The fourth one, the pricing. The fifth one, web-based training team. And then the last one is our team. So it has information about each member of the team, a little bit of their background and bio. This is just text, just like you do in OpenAI, but it's funneled through Zapier.
So you just
And
copy pasted.
yep, literally just copy and paste
Okay.
it into there. And what this does is it produces an email reply. So let me just edit this draft so we can see this in action. I'm going to continue from here, and I'm going to retest this step.
And if people want to use Zapier and they can't remember all of this that you're talking about, is it going to become clear to them like what to do when they get there?
Yes, Zapier makes this really easy to do, like very step-by-step instructions. So each of these steps comes with a bunch of instructions for how to set them up. They've tried very hard to make it easy.
Yeah.
So here's my prompt, the full prompt with all, and here's like the text that describes all of our
So
services.
you're telling Zapier who it is. You're telling
Correct.
Zapier you're giving Zapier kind of the basic knowledge that Drew has.
Correct. And then here is the reply that we get from OpenAI. So it says, "Hi, Matthew," and that's the name of the person. "Thank you for reaching out. Sounds like you're on the right track, recognizing the challenges of communication within your team. Your commitment to maintaining a horizontal structure is commendable." So this is all details that were taken from the original inquiry. "And believe
Uh-huh.
we can offer just the right support to help you cut through the communication issues and foster a culture of direct yet empathetic feedback."
Wow. This is a good
Um,
answer.
Yep. "Given the size of your team and your budget," again, this was taken from the original email, "a
Mhm.
2-hour session with a candor coach would come in at $6,500, which fits well within your budget. This would allow your team to engage in interactive exercises, learn practical skills, and start implementing the radical candor framework immediately." And then one of the things I put in the prompt is find something that fits comfortably in the budget that the person has given us, but also offer them something a little bit uh,
More expensive.
deeper or bigger. Yeah, exactly. So if you're looking to dive deeper, the AI responds, "A 4-hour session is available for 10,000." And all of this was taken from that text that I copy and pasted in from
Wow.
our sales collateral. Um, and essentially, I repeat this process a couple of more times in steps 11 and 12 to generate a follow-up email and then a final email. And so what I do is I grab all of that stuff and I send it to our email system and say, "Schedule these 3 emails." Assuming the person doesn't respond, uh, send the first email immediately, and then each email 2 days
Or
later.
not immediately, delay 30 minutes,
Well,
right?
I want to. I'll get to that in a second. So originally I skipped this step, um, which was, and so I literally generated the email immediately. And even though we acknowledged that the message was generated by AI, it was unsettling to people that even fake Drew could craft such a thoughtful response
Yes.
instantaneously within seconds um, uh, of that us receiving their inquiry, receiving like a very detailed response with specific suggestions based on their inquiry. So we put in a little delay so that people were less freaked out by the speed of the reply.
Amazing. By the way, we have a question from Nancy. So, Nancy, the reason why Jason is doing all the talking is because he has all the expertise. So, I asked him to explain this to folks. I don't know how to do what he has done. And part of my curiosity here is how did he figure out how to do this? Because to me, this is like magic. You know, we're a small company. We don't want to raise money, we want to grow, but we'd like to grow faster. And Jason's ability to figure out how to answer emails automatically is exactly what I hope that AI will be able to do for us. So, but I didn't know how he did it. So he's sharing his magic with me and hopefully with you as well.
And I think the reason why I wanted to share this real world example as opposed to like we've been using some contrived examples is
Yeah.
to give people a perspective in the previous episodes, is give people a little bit of perspective on just how much is actually possible. Um, uh, like I think it is possible to save significant amounts of money using AI, and for a lot of small businesses, that's money they don't have. So that means that's the difference between being able to try something new and not being able to try something new. So
Yeah.
hopefully it's helpful.
Yeah, it's also, I mean, maybe now I'm grossly exaggerating, but it to me, part of the excitement here is that by allowing people to grow more organically rather than like the reason why companies borrow money is to grow faster and to outcompete each other. And that creates a world in which the need to raise money means that you, as the person who started the company, are giving away part of your company. And so the ability to automate certain roles so that you can grow more organically means that people who start companies remain in, don't have to give the upside away to people who already have money. So
Yeah, or take on debt
yeah,
that they
well,
then
that's what I
have
mean.
to service. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, give up some of the upside. So, um, the other reason why this excites me, Jason, I haven't told you this, is that I have, as you know, I think 46,000 unread emails. Is there a way for me to use Zapier to like I've never wanted to give another human being access to my whole inbox because there's all kinds of private things in there, but I'd be willing to give an AI access to my inbox if because I miss some important emails. And in that 46,000 unread emails are some things, some emails I wish I had replied to.
Yeah, so that's kind of interesting. One of the things that AI could do for you is to help you classify your emails. So a way to think about this is, um, let me share my screen again, and we're gonna go back, and we're just gonna create a new. They call them zaps.
Okay, a news app.
Yep. And um, so this is how it starts. So first of all, you can describe what you want Zapier to do, and it'll try to build it for you. And this works about 50% of the time.
Okay, that's
But
good.
but in your case, what I would say is like we're starting with Gmail. So I
Mhm.
said, what's the trigger? Something happens in Gmail, and we're going to say we received a new email.
Yeah.
Okay.
The action is to
Uh,
classify it.
correct. So I'm going to grab it from my email address. Continue. This is fine. All inboxes is fine, and it's going to test to just grab a recent email for me. Great.
Okay.
So we're going to continue with that. And then the second thing I want to do is I'm going to um, send I'm going to send that new email to OpenAI, and
Mhm.
I'm going to have it. Let's see. Do we want it to summarize? No, I think we
I
want it
kinda want it
to
to categorize. Is that a choice?
kind of. So what we want here is, let's see, we're going to send a prompt to OpenAI.
Okay.
Um, and I think in this case, what our prompt would be is
And when
something
you say send a prompt, that means, like, tell AI who it is and what to do?
correct. We're going to send some information to OpenAI, just like if you were in the Chat GPT interface
Yeah.
or the Claude interface or the Gemini interface. This is Zapier's way of talking to that same tool. And
Mhm.
so our prompt would be, um, uh, we want we want the AI to tell me if this email is important. And then we would tell AI important emails have the following characteristics. and then we would just list them for AI. So we would say an important email comes from
Someone
uh,
whom I've communicated with, regularly in the past 6 months.
sure, yeah, like we'll pretend
Someone
that AI can do that for
or
now, but
someone it could, I mean, I guess it would have to have maybe more access, but someone in my contacts in Gmail.
um, so you're going to create um, it includes um, people in my organization. Uh, it has words that indicate, and I'll fix my spelling, indicate that it requires an urgent response.
I'm afraid that last one is gonna include a lot of spam. Spam.
Well, you can filter spam out inside of Gmail. Uh, but essentially, what I would say is I need to include some information about the email. So I would say, here's the email, um, subject, and then this is how Zapier represents data. So Zapier's like parsed that email, it has read the email for me, and then it has said, I can give you, I've separated out certain information. So there's the subject, and then the body of the email is here. Um, and then it's from Nora.
What about what could we make it exclude anything that says unsubscribe? Anything where there's an unsubscribe option, I just don't want it in my inbox, and I can't get them out.
Well, for now, my goal here is to try to do something a little bit simpler. Yes,
Right.
you absolutely can do that. So um, we continue. So now we've set up the AI prompt, and it's going to send us back a response.
Okay.
Um, and then so we're going to need to uh, so we'll skip this test for now because we're running out of time. I just want to give a simple example of
Yeah.
how this could work. So then based on the response that we get back, we want it to do something else. So we're going to go back to Gmail, and we're going to choose an event, which is add a label.
Oh, yeah.
If the email is important, we're going to tell this thing it's using the same account. Let's see, do I have an important? I do have an important label.
Okay.
And then the message to be labeled um, uh, is here, and it comes from, we're going to put the message ID in that we got from the previous step.
Okay.
And that's it. So in theory, what we've built here is a thing that grabs, whenever you receive a new email, it asks AI to evaluate whether or not that email is important based on the criteria that you've defined.
Mhm.
And then the last step is, if it is important, it will apply a label on your behalf to that email.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. I love that. That's cool.
And that's the way that Zapier kind of like allows you to create a connection between different services
Yeah.
and tools that you use on the internet.
Yeah. So there's two this kind of raises two questions. One of them is so we didn't hire someone who we might otherwise, well, we wouldn't have hired them because we didn't have enough money. But if you're a big company and you're automating this role, then now you're not going to hire people that you otherwise would hire, but you're going to grow. So I would argue that you would have the ability to hire people to do more interesting jobs if you've automated this less interesting job.
Well,
Is that what do you think about that as an assertion?
I think that there is if we if we focus on our case for a second and before we try to generalize, what I would say is the money that we didn't spend on this, we have instead put into product improvements,
Hmm.
like better serving our clients. So we took that money, and we've invested in either enhancing or creating new products and services that we can offer to clients. And
Hmm.
each of those new offerings is going to require us for the work talks and workshops. It will require us um, uh, to hire new coaches to deliver those talks and workshops. And for the new products and services, we'll have to hire some people who can do customer service for those products, some people who can help us build those products, like engineers and things to help us build some of those products. The So we were hiring people to do things that aren't easily automated
Yeah.
through AI.
Yeah. I love that. All right. There's one question from a user. Do you have to feed your email address and your password into the AI in order to use Zapier?
You don't. So the way that so Zapier can explain this better than I can probably, but the good news is that your the AI doesn't know any that has no access to your email account. The all of that access is managed through your Zapier account, and they use like the industry standard security and encryption and all of that, and all of that stuff. So you don't have to worry about your user and password getting passed to the AI. It's a reasonable concern. Um, I certainly wouldn't want to.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. So now I have another question. Do you so I feel like net this is going to create more interesting jobs rather than replace humans. This. But do you agree with that assertion? Like that's the maybe a techno optimist's assertion, but that's what I think.
I think that if the world was run by small companies, that would probably be if the world of business was run by small companies, that would probably be true. I think there's going to be, unfortunately, some significant amount uh, of disruption,
Yeah.
especially to sort of like entry level jobs. And right now, we don't have a great answer to like how do you help someone. Uh, how do you help people who are new, especially new to the job market? Um, how do you help them get a foot in the door if those entry level positions aren't there?
Yeah, yeah. So at some point, probably both Drew and Dan had the job of answering these kinds of emails, and then they grew into, and so how are we going to bring up the next generation of salespeople?
And
But
I think one
that seems like a very solvable problem to me.
it it
It's
is,
really an
and
opportunity, but again, maybe
yeah,
a techno optimist.
yeah,
Like, it doesn't seem like grunt work is the best way into a profession.
that is exactly what I was going to say. The skills that you learn in that job do not necessarily prepare you to be a great like account executive, for example.
Yeah,
So you're not like, the idea is they're stepping stones, but it is often the case that the jobs themselves are not set up to train you for the next one anyway. And
yeah,
so if you find yourself there, you are probably going to have to figure out on your own anyway how to
yeah,
get the next job.
yeah, yeah, yes. That
And that's something that AI can actually help with. I believe that AI has the ability to train people more effectively, to help apprentice people in the
yes.
skills of that next job. That's still going to be valuable.
All right, and there's another question that we shouldn't spend more than 1 minute on because it's random. But
Okay.
this is something I've been thinking about lately, which is that there's this sort of angst I've noticed as I'm reading, like in the book After On, that is AI sentient? And if it
Hmm.
becomes sentient, are we then justified in asking it to do all our grunt work? And I just want to say it's not sentient and it's fine to ask AI to do the work that you don't want to do. Like there's nothing that I can understand. There's nothing. There's no reason not. There's no reason not to feel great about automating work that one doesn't have time to do or doesn't want to do. That is routine and uninteresting. What do you
Uh,
think?
I, I agree. Uh, all of the people who I trust like who seem to know something about the current state of AI agree with you that AI is not sentient. Number one. Number two, um, not there can be purpose-built AIs. I think we can kick the can down the road of the question of like, if AI were to become sentient, or some AIs were to become sentient, would we be justified in continuing to ask those AIs to do our grunt work? Is a question that can be firmly kicked
Down the
that
road.
can be firmly kicked down the road, because there can be purpose-built task doing AIs that aren't sentient. Like
Yes.
that,
Yes.
like you don't have, it doesn't have to be one or the other.
Yes. And I mean, the irony to me that people are even asking this question is that so the answer is to continue to ask human beings who are definitely sentient to do this work that is uninteresting and soul sucking. Like that's ridiculous to me.
Yes, that
I,
that can't that like that can't be the answer. I mean,
right.
it could be, but we must resist.
Yes, we must resist that answer. All right. As always, Jason, loved having this conversation, and I may try to like get a hold of my inbox using Zapier. Thank you.
Happy to help.
All right.
See everyone
Take
next
care.
time.
Be well. Bye.